Imagine this. In a planning season, a team is planning features and work items for the next 6 months. A product manager is leading the discussion, and she is presenting a long list of to-do features and asking the team's feedback on priority. Have you ever wondered, how does she come up with that long list? And how does she know what the team should do next? After this video, you'll know the answer. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. For those who are new to my channel, I'm currently a PM at Microsoft. I have been working here for 6 years and I share my PM learnings and experiences every week on this channel. So, how do product managers know what to do next? The short answer is we know our customers. We analyze and gather their requirements. Then we translate the results to product requirements and align it with the product business goals. Sounds easy, right? Now let's expand it. A product is built for its targeted users. A good product can meet user requirements, solve their problems, and provide value to the users. Every PM spends a tremendous amount of time understanding our customers and gathering their requirements because we need to give our users a reason to start using or continuously use or use more of our product. But how to know user requirements? This is the so-called requirement gathering process. The most straightforward way to collect user requirements is to go and talk to your users. Some companies have user research groups. They have programs to hire candidates with targeted backgrounds for product research. For example, here is Google's user experience research site. You can sign up for a chance to participate in their product research. After completing the study, you usually get a gift card as a gift. Microsoft also has a similar program. By interviewing the users by yourself or listening to the UX researchers interview these targeted users, you'll get a direct view of your users' thoughts, what they like, what they dislike, and their pain points. The good thing about having a professional UX researcher interviewing those users is that you can get a very objective view of user requirements. But the downside is you usually need to get the budget approval to run the research program, and the UX research team is usually a shared resource. That means you need to book their time in advance and wait for their availability. Here is an example of a user research report. The team selected and interviewed 10 users to understand how they use browsers at work and what their pain points and unmet needs are. Most of them use Windows, 2 of them use Mac OS, and to get an unbiased view, the team selected users that use different main browsers in their daily work. We can see Safari, Edge, Firefox, and Chrome here. It is a very long report, but there are several interesting things to highlight here. They found that participants tend to not close tabs until a project is done. This leads to a negative impact on computer performance and tab management difficulties. And some users also cite when there are multiple browser windows and pages tabs opened, it is hard to manage duplicated pages. For the bookmark feature, some participants mentioned that they had many outdated bookmarks and had not managed them for a long time. To most of them, they would love to have their bookmarks organized, but they fail to do so because it is so time-consuming. There is a lot more in the report, but I believe you've got the idea. By talking with your users and observing how they use your product, you'll get a sense of which part is good and which part needs to be improved. You may ask, what if you don't have a UX research team? How can you reach out to and talk to your users? Well, there are many ways. You just need to open your mind. If you have some customers contact, just reach out to them politely and let them know you'd like to learn how they use your product so that you can improve the experience. You can find someone in a company who uses your product and do a quick interview. You can go to related conferences and meet your customers there. You can search on social media and find someone who is complaining about the product and IM him or her that you'd like to learn more about their complaints. You can even use your own social media, do a quick introduction and say if you can get some users who are interested in a user experience interview session. Again, there are many ways to get closer to your users. Don't be shy. You may ask for 10 times but only get 5 in response. That's normal. Just keep trying until you think you get enough user feedback to proceed. Another common way to collect feedback and requirements is through survey. This is not only for PMs. I believe everyone has sent or filled out many surveys when they were at school. This sounds like the most efficient way to collect feedback from a large amount of users, but trust me, survey can be totally waste of your time if you don't do it right. First, survey response rate can be very low if you don't do it right. Second, you may get biased survey results without even noticing it. How to make it right? Here are some suggestions. First, make it relevant. Don't just send out the survey to all the users. Think about the specific feedback you'd like to get from the users and make it relevant to them. For example, if you'd like to understand the getting started experience, you might want to send the survey to the first-time users after they tried out the product and ask how they feel about the getting started experience. If you'd like to understand user feedback about a specific scenario, get the users that used that specific feature and send them a target survey for feedback. Second, make it short. Users won't have enough patience to fill out a long survey with lots of open-ended questions. That's why some surveys are as simple as, do you like the product, like or dislike? Or how are you satisfied with the product, 1 to 5? Or how likely will you recommend the product to your friends, 1 to 10? If you'd like to collect more info, use choice questions. If you'd like to further collect some verbatim comments via open questions, make them optional. Sometimes you have to send out a long survey. If that is the case, consider rewarding the users with small gifts, in-product points, or some other prizes. Third, make sure you cross-check the survey results. Survey results depend on how you design the survey, who you send the survey to, and who answered that survey. The results can be biased. For example, I had experiences of sending out a survey with an ambiguous question. Through the result, I highly doubt most users understand that question in another way. In that case, I cannot fully trust and use the survey result. Another typical example here, you ask your users if they'd like to have a new feature with a yes or no answer. I bet most of the time you will receive a lot of yes, but this yes might not be a true yes that has been thought through enough. Your users may just feel, a new feature, cool, why not? Therefore, I suggest cross-checking your insights from the survey. Don't fully trust your survey results. Ask a few more whys and see if you can find similar feedback and the requirements from other channels to build confidence in the survey results. Last, keep engaging. Survey is just the start of customer engagement. You need to somehow let your users know that you value their feedback. You can ask if the users can provide contact info in the survey so that you can reach out back to them to learn more. And after you build the new improvements based on the survey, you can send out messages to the same group of users and thanks for their input. The key point here is you need to let your users know that the product team loves to hear their voices, and the time they spend on filling out the survey is worth it. The third channel for requirement gathering is through direct user feedback. This is the most efficient approach to get user voices. Once setting it up, users will get a way to directly share their feedback and requirements with the product team. As PMs, you only need to make sure to triage those collected feedback and suggestions regularly with the team to prioritize. There are 3 typical ways to get direct user feedback. One is to build feedback report channels in the product itself. From my observations, there are several feedback types in the product. Product rating to ask how you like the product or how likely you like to recommend the product to your friends. Product suggestion to ask if you feel any feature gap or have any new ideas for the product improvements. Report a problem, bug, or issues if you encountered. Sometimes issue and debugging info collection also happen at the backend quietly. For example, if you use a desktop app or a mobile app and it hangs, it may send some metrics via telemetry to the product team for further debugging. Last, add the verbatims to give users an open-ended free text box to share anything that they'd like to share with the product group. For PMs, our job is making sure to provide the feedback channel with an easy entry point in the product and to keep tracking those received feedback. A practical way of doing this is to build some automated pipelines to collect and report this feedback, triage them regularly, and share your insights with the team regularly. This is the feedback channel in the product. Another way to get direct user feedback is through a user voice website. The user voice site is used to host product suggestions. Both users and the product team can submit a new suggestion there. The existing suggestions are public to all users and users can vote for the ones they like. Here is an example of Microsoft Teams user voice site. For technical products, it is also very popular to collect issues and feature requirements via GitHub site. Here is an example from Visual Studio Code. Besides these feedback channels in product and user voice site, some teams also monitor comments and issues about the product on public forums and social media. In Microsoft, I know some teams even hire specialists to address customer questions on public forums, and some teams build automated pipelines to collect Twitter feeds, analyzing message sentiment and report the negative ones. Those are ways to collect direct user feedback. Another big portion of requirements are results of data analysis. There was a famous Facebook story about this. When Facebook was trying to grow their user base and return these new users, they found that new users who connected with more than 7 friends have much higher retention rate comparing with those that didn't. Based on this, they assumed if they can show some recommendations to help the new users to connect with their friends quickly, then they should be able to return more new users. The strategy was pretty successful and helped Facebook grow its user base really fast. In the requirements gathering context, data analysis is super useful for these 3 things: non-functional requirements gathering, convention analysis, and retention analysis. Non-functional requirement means requirements that are not product features. It usually covers something like product performance, reliability, security, or scalability. For example, some studies show that less than 2 seconds web page load time drives the highest conversion rates. Users may not directly complain about page loading time, but performance is still an important requirement for the product. Conversion analysis is straightforward. Think about this. You have an end-to-end workflow in the product, let's say purchase a premium upgrade. 100 users clicked the upgrade button, 20 gave up before providing their payment info, more users gave up in the middle, and by the end, only 10 users complete the payment and successfully upgrade to premium. Based on this, you can calculate the conversion rate for each step and try to find what blocks your users moving forward. Again, this is not the requirements directly from your users, but data insights reflect user behavior. Retention analysis is similar. Think about this. You have 100 new users register an account in your product. 20 of them leave on the first day and never come back. Some others leave after a few days, and only 30 still actively use the product after a month. Through this funnel, you can calculate the retention rate after a time period, and based on this, you can make your assumptions of what to improve to return these users. Retention analysis itself can be a very long conversation. Let's talk about that in my future videos. In summary, data analysis provides us insights and further drives product improvement requirements. It is a very powerful tool. Just note that statistics can lie sometimes, so remember to cross-check your results with other channels as well. Besides all we talked about, there are still several other ways to gather product requirements. I call them indirect channels. These indirect channels won't give you ideas of what to do next directly. Instead, it helps you build your muscles, it helps you enrich your product framework, and it inspires you to think more and connect the insights you get from other channels. Here, I'd like to share several indirect channels with you. One is competitor analysis. Knowing what your competitors are doing, especially what they are doing well, helps you understand your customer more deeply. It is important for PMs to keep an eye on our competitors' product update, their marketing event, and their user feedback. This is not for copying whatever they do into our product. This is about trying to understand the reasons behind their designs and decisions. Then connect that with your customer insights. The second indirect channel is UX report and research. I like reading UX research blogs from other companies and products a lot. Their practices and learnings may not immediately help to improve my product, but I am building my muscles when I accumulate ideas and lessons learned from these reports. The last one is common sense. This may sound stupid, everyone has common sense, but here I'm talking more about common product sense. This common product sense was built and made strong from our daily learnings and observations. Once built, it can help you understand or infer user requirements faster without even talking to your users. For example, reliability is important. If a software or web page crashes and stops responding often, no one would like to use it unless they are forced to do so. Another example, getting started experience needs to be simple and provide users value with less time and less clicks. Another one, no one likes any kind of interruptions in the middle of their critical or focusing tasks. One more, payment experience needs to be as smooth as possible. There are a lot more here, and this is the muscle you need to build to be a good PR. In a nutshell, insights from these indirect channels don't help you immediately, but it helps you build your muscles, and it strengthens your skills as a good product manager. That's all for today. Do you still remember the short answer I gave at the beginning of the video? How do product managers know what to do next? The short answer is we know our customers. We analyze and gather their requirements, then we translate these results to product requirements and align it with the product business goals. In this video, I talked about the first part, user requirement gathering and analysis. In the next few videos, I'm going to share more about how to translate these user requirements to a product requirement and how to align them with your product business goals. Subscribe and stay tuned. Don't forget to give me a thumb up if you like my content. See you next time. Bye.